Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's dive in. Shi is today's special character. It's Chinese poetry. And I pick out poetry as one of the main feature or important Chinese characters to show you this month is because poetry really holds a special place in Chinese language users' hearts. A lot of the okay, in ancient times, the Chinese would have this national exams, right? And they are required to write kind of an argumentative passage to make statements about things. That's one type. That's more kind of functional. Like if you want to enter the apparatus of the ruling class to be part of the rulers bureaucracy, you gotta be able to be competent communicators, right? That's one level of language use. And then the next level would be to express your personal views, feelings, observations, philosophies, intentions, like your humanity through the use of language. And that go beyond the limit of your own time. And Chinese long history of the language users, mostly men because they were the first educated literate people in China, and generations of poets came up with their own styles and very memorable lines. And for Chinese kids started Chinese language learning, a lot of them is about memorizing. Like before you can fully appreciate what they're talking about, first memorizing ton of poems. Okay, so poetry holds a special place in Chinese heart. Let's look at how Chinese language define what poetry is. Okay, it's a left and right structure. The left means speaking. The right means measured. Together is measured speaking. So let's unpack a little bit more. Speaking, we came across a lot because speaking as a human communication function has been occurring in the language itself a lot. And so that's a commonly used component to make up of other characters that mean a particular type of speaking. But in general, this speaking function can stand on its own. Just by itself, it means speaking already. It's pronounced as yan, like language almost, but really it means speaking. We have the mouse symbol at the bottom. That means it looks like a box, right? It's a mouse, and then we have two concave shapes connected by a vertical line. That's a kind of an abstract way as a pointer, point toward the inside. This intersecting means it's inside. So inside the mouse, that's the tongue, because we already have characters for teeth, front teeth, back teeth. We have special characters for the teeth categories. And then people can deduce, okay, what other stuff that's not expressed already inside the mouth is the tongue. And then we have two horizontal lines. To me, that shows almost like a visual way to show the diminishing energy of your sound bits traveling through time and space. So we have the result of speaking and the organs of speaking together is the definition, right? How it came from and what's the result. The right side means measured, mostly came from this three-finger hand symbol with a pointer toward here. Okay, I don't know why it's, okay. That means 1 inch down your wrist, and that's the exact place you're supposed to measure pulse. So pulse reading as an ancient medical practice is like a human detecting humans' vital signals through just finger on there. I find this amazing, and I personally experienced that already. So it's a visual way to show people, because everybody was once a patient, so everybody know this practice of pulse reading, and that's a visual way to show there is a specific way, like a measured way. You have to go 1 inch down. And then that combined with the top part is planting, is farming. So basically, trident looking thing is Chinese abstraction of plant. It grow on top of a surface. It's the ground, right? So the plant growing is a super simplification of farming. And then you have a measured farming. because China is an agrarian society. Farming is critical, and probably majority of the population does that. So again, just like a pulse reading, farming, that's commonly known activities shared by the society back then. So language creators use this to combine to mean we are practicing something sort of like a best practices in today's lingo. Like we already summarized by generations of farmers what's the best way to do it. So now you need to do this measured, exact way or precise farming, so to speak. So now this measured paired with speaking is Chinese definition of poetry, because all of us can speak, we can talk all day long, but if our words can resonate, can create such good imagery, and it sounds beautiful at the same time, and tap into some deep core of our humanity, and that can, qualify this measured, really thoughtful way of speaking as a Chinese definition of poetry. And Chinese as a language have its own special features, which makes Chinese poetry, I would say, special. I'm not going to argue that English or other language don't have their, glamorous or really impactful poems. Every language does, but Chinese special connection to poetry. I would say probably three main features that make Chinese poetry special. One is it's a logographical language, meaning if you look at each individual characters, like the storytelling I just shared with you, through the visual 2D frame, visual cues over there, you can almost vividly see the farming, the speaking activities, like human things humans do in there. So in that frame, it's imagery already showing you. So when we're reading poetry, we're reading as well as, literally reading, like seeing the characters. So that's one thing, like we're seeing frames of little pictures, almost like a movie playing in front of your eyes. That's one thing. Second, so the imagery generation, right? Second is the Chinese is a monosyllabic. So each sound that you can, like sh, we don't have multiple consonants in there. And it's always, majority of the time, it's a vowel, it's a consonant at the front and a vowel at the end. So we have vowel sounds at the end of each character pronunciation. And so it's easier, almost easier to rhyme in a certain way, right? Third is Chinese, each character may carry multitudes of meaning. It's contextual. You cannot pin down the Chinese character meaning just by looking at it by itself. It has to exist and be defined by the other coexisting characters together. So that's highly contextual thing. Make each, because poetry is concise, right? It's a minimum use of characters. So that give you the opportunity to actually tap into multiples or multiple layers of meaning. You write something, you can read it several ways. And that's almost like a word game or puzzle. It's very intellectually stimulating. So Chinese poetry have the three features: imagery, recurring, and easy to rhyme, and meter conducting. Like we don't have to, count as complicated as the English does, but that's a really a forte for Chinese language. And then the multitudes of meanings, so we can easily create puns. It's so easy with this language. All right, so that's poetry, and here is, of course, our later generations imagined picture of what Li Bai looks like. And he's a drinker. He's not ashamed of his drinking. Drinking back then was not probably was not same as what contemporary society view, like alcoholism, like all that related kind of stigma related to drinking. Drinking to him is a thought-provoking or thought-freeing moment. It's kind of alternative or the reality thing. Like once you tap into that mental power through drinking portal, and you can, your thoughts, your words, your poetry pour out of you. And he's most renowned for almost like encouraging or claiming that drinking make you forget your sorrows, and beautifully said. Um, so I probably one day I'm going to go for this 将进酒, this poem. It's one of the best, and it's resonating through generations. You can see why, right? Because we all have our sorrows and woes and the troubles in our life, and this connection of drinking, how it releases you, and how it kind of transcends you over your specific troubles, to look afar, to enjoy the moment of being alive. So that's beautifully said, and he is probably one of the best. If you pick one Chinese poet to represent the best of language achievement through poetry, I will probably vote for Li Bai. All right, that's Shi. Thank you for your time. See you another day.